but what it will do, if it's not done fiscally responsibly, is all of the reserves will be eaten up to support that building in Phoenicia, and we will be bankrupt as a district in a few years. So I think the Board of Ed really has to wake up and understand that all the people of Olive and a lot of the people in the district want fiscal responsibility and not some thrown together plan as a way of keeping the building open one town over when it's 7 minutes away and the kids can all come to Bennett. The school district is losing enrollment. We have, out of 16 neighboring districts, we have the highest per student cost. There was just an article in Sunday's Freeman that listed the 16 districts up and down the Hudson Valley. We are number 16 of 16. We pay almost $35,000 per student, and the other 14 districts do it for $26,000 or less. So we're paying already huge markups for the education of these kids, and we have a school board that wants us to keep paying in order to keep their building open. And I would really hope that in view of that, in view of the petition that we got, and where we have over 150 signatures from district residents, and in view of a recent survey that's come out both from Woodstock and one we're working on in Bennett, nobody wants this bookend plan except the Board of Education and some of the people in Phoenicia who want to keep the building open. And we need our town to support us because the board is not listening to us, and we really hope that it listens to our town board.
In the first paragraph on the second page, it specifically says could lead to poor academic performance.
Well, I have to say, moving a child 4 times in 5 years can lead to poor academic performance.
Yes.
I was going to say, I don't have children in the district, but I do have neighbors that do. And the neighbors I'm thinking of in particular, they are educators. One is a school psychologist in another district, and the other one is an educator in Saugerties, but they live in Olive. And they said, under no circumstances do they want their children to be split up like this and have to drive so far. I do want to say I respect the board, and I know the large parcel, I fought really hard to fight against that. It's something that, it's like when you mention it, it just brings fear to our hearts, because for many of us it means whether we can stay here or not. So I really hope that the board can really parse through this really carefully and try to understand the complexity of the matter and make a wise decision.
I just want to say regarding the academics, when this, I happen to be the PTA president this year, not something I really wanted. But when this was presented to us at our PTA meeting in November, Dr. McGill came and said that, financially we're in trouble. And the other thing she presented to us was the test scores were not that great. So she wanted our children to test better, and that's why she was presenting this bookend plan. But if you're going to take our children and transfer them to another school for 1 year, our 3rd grade children, and then expect them to take a state test, and expect them to test better, they're not going to. It's going to be a year full of transitions, and that's the point as far as the academics goes. There's no studies supporting the Princeton plan. We've asked for that. They've admitted there's no educational value to this that they can find, and the kids aren't going to test better. The kids are not going to test better with being transitioned every 1 to 2 years, and that's the academic point. We're not saying that we're better educators than they are, but that's the point. We know our children.
Yes.
Al Stewart from Boyceville. We got to look at, they have got to start closing some of these schools. The fact that they're trying to just keep these schools open because it's either Woodstock or Shandaken. The whole picture is that you got to close the school. Plus we have an extra school down in Hurley that they haven't, West Hurley, that they haven't done anything, that's still costing us money every year. So everybody is involved. You got to be involved, and you just can't sit back and say, I'm not going to do anything. We got to put the word out to them. And we, all the school board is on, like from Shandaken, and there's a lot of people in Olive that's paying taxes, and they're just paying more and more money to run these schools just so they can keep their kids in Shandaken or in Woodstock. And you gotta look at the big picture, and probably the big picture, you close a school or two, and some of them kids come to Bennett who can take the school because the capacity is there. So we just can't sit back and do nothing. If you got a proposal and you don't agree to a couple pages or something, let's sit down and revise it and send the resolution to them and say, this is the way the town of Olive feel. Let's do something.
I'm sorry, but just as far as that goes, next Tuesday, the 21st, is the last board meeting before the vote. They scheduled a special meeting on the 28th to vote for this proposition. This has been going on since November.
Where is that?
The next Board of Ed meeting will be at Bennett. I don't know where they're going to
And
schedule
that's the
it.
last one before the
Before
vote?
the vote. I don't know where they're going to schedule the vote, but,
Could I ask you a question?
yes.
Where did and granted, I didn't go to school board meetings and, pay the attention that you folks.
I've been going to every one.
They're tired.
But where did you get the information that this bookend plan is the most expensive? And I'm not being sarcastic.
No,
please, I'm
well,
just
we
asking.
actually gave you the report. They had Dr. Timms from Bernie Donovan Group do this financial plan for them. It was like a 5-year plan. I mean, they actually presented it in September to the public. There was only a few of us there, but they handed out a report, which I did give to you in December. And when you look at those figures, 3 years out, we're $3 million in debt with that plan. We're $2.2 million in debt with a K-6 plan, although those numbers are not, there's an error in those numbers, and we've asked for that to be corrected. And with the true Princeton plan, we're $168,000, we still have some money left. That's if the budgets pass every year. If the budgets don't pass, we're like $15 million in the hole in 5 years with the bookend plan. So it's from a report that they gave to the public that was presented, and they hired this man. They hired this company. They chose it.
When Dr. McGill came here to present to the board, to these plans, the bookend plan at that time when she came with, I can't think of his name, Dan Spencer, they were not recommending the bookend plan to us at that time. And she changed her mind because of the board, because it's technically the Phoenicia board, they want to save the school, and they weren't recommending it.
Could I ask, Peter, it's your resolution, so could I ask, I would have less trepidation about it if we took that paragraph out. Could we delete that one, the first paragraph on the second page?
I gotta read it.
Okay.
I think if we leave it as whereas we restructured the district again in such a short period, we will create unnecessary costs and will increase anxiety among our young children.
Why don't we just put a period at unnecessary costs?
I would say anxiety and then put for young children period and cross out the rest. Because you're not there, it's anxiety because you're moving them.
Why don't you just eliminate the whole thing, and then it doesn't throw the whole resolution out.
The paragraph.
Yeah, the whole.
If we take the paragraph out, then we can just.
It doesn't
I mean,
change.
you're accomplishing the same thing, I think. It's just that we're not putting ourselves out there as educators. You understand what I'm saying?
Bruce, I just want to respond to your question about the money, how do we know it's the most expensive? Their own numbers, the numbers and figures that they're projecting and sending out in public tell us it's the most expensive. What they're trying to do, though, is to minimize the difference between the plans so that it's not that much more expensive, it's only a little more expensive. But what they are not including and continuously fail to include is the fact that transportation costs are higher in that plan, that the building needs well over $1 million worth of infrastructure costs, and that closing the building will save us utilities. If you look closely at their numbers, they project 0 savings in oil,